back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe. And today, we heard the cries. They're like, save us from the Solana scams and talk about something else.
Yeah, we're full pivoting to Sonic, it seems.
All the way Sonic. Thank you, Andre.
Yeah, when we say Sonic, that could be interpreted as several things, right? You know,
like the Hedgehog, of course.
The Hedgehog franchise, thanks to the Sega Genesis era. Sonic, the fast food restaurant,
Yeah.
Also.
I didn't think about that one.
Footlog chili dogs.
The best chili dogs on earth and tater tots.
Yeah, no idea what you're talking about.
You wouldn't understand true joy, dude. But no, there's a new Sonic in town, and it's on chain.
It's an L2.
Well, no, it's a layer 1. Totally EVM.
Oh, right.
Chain.
Right.
Yeah. Come on, dude.
It's an L1 to Ethereum.
Right. I mean, whatever. It's like it's a different flavoring, I guess. It's not the same. What's the word? What sequencing process that the typical L2s to Ethereum, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely different, right? That's what Andre does. He does things different.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of go down a rabbit hole of an explanation as to who this guy is. Because if you don't have the contextual
historical context.
Yeah, I guess you don't have the context of last cycle, specifically the very early stages of last cycle. We're talking DeFi summer days of 2020. Right. If you weren't around, and not many people were, it wasn't really this massive, the majority of people, if this is your second cycle, probably got onboarded because of NFTs.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So before NFTs, there was a local craze within the crypto market, and it was all centered around DeFi protocols on Ethereum.
Yeah. That's what really sparked the last cycles.
Yeah, it kind of got us out of the trench of despair, right? It's wow, something new, something innovative, and we're actually doing something disruptive, right?
Yeah, and we were trying to figure out what is it going to be? Is are we going to run ICOs again? There's no way, right? And then IDOs came out, and then DeFi summer, and then NFTs.
Right. So Andre built himself quite the reputation and esteem. We talked about his protocols early on, Yearn Finance, then he did Keeper. And then he got involved with Phantom and all this stuff, right? So here he is now, fast forward. And then he kind of disappeared because, I don't know, he got,
Yeah, so there's an article here that kind of explains everything. But to kick things off, DeFi Llama, Sonic, TVL is at $455 million. If you look at, December 2024 till now, it's only been up. And we were just talking about who Andre Crojne is. So there's a handy wiki here that goes through the entire historical context of Andre Crojne. And there's a point in here where he basically quits DeFi. So Andre and I have decided that we are closing the chapter on contributing to DeFi and crypto space. So they were closing down 25 different applications. But there's good reasons. He got fed up with the shitcoinery and crypto, and got exhausted.
Yeah, there's kind of a toxicity.
Yeah.
Tends to happen, right, in our space. And builders, doesn't matter to what degree, tend to get vilified and attacked over time, right? Initially you become the big hero in the space. Over time, they end up hating you. It's very classic human-esque behavior. So, yeah, he got fed up. He bounced from a couple of notable foundations and such. So it was a safe assumption at that point, we wouldn't hear from him again. It's he kind of burnt his reputation, but no, here he comes. Sonic is now, I think, launched 2 or 3 months ago. And we saw with that TVL chart, only up and to the right, that's typically, when we start to pay attention to things, right? Because things are launching on a weekly basis, right? New chains, new L1s, new L2s, L3, 4, 5s, and 6s, right? It's that's cool. There's over 100 of them building on Bitcoin, right?
That's right, yeah.
But it's really not that interesting, or not a good time investment to really look into them until there's some sort of notable sign of, market penetration, traction, or some kind of innovative force emerging from within that ecosystem. Right?
Yeah, so here's a tweet from Andre Crojne from over a year ago. It says, irrespective of your opinion on Phantom, this is a technological breakthrough that increases base layer scaling by 10x. EVM is here to stay. Schultz Work increases throughput natively. This tech can be applied to any EVM without specific compatibility. Yeah, and then there's another one here. Instant sub 500 millisecond transactions.
Yeah, so I mean, typical stuff, right? So the ingredients are there. It's fast, it's cheap, it's got all the right ingredients to support, what is evidently in demand, right? Which is like this layer of on-chain speculation, which kind of exhausted its presence on Solana, is now like looking elsewhere. It's like, where else can I go and deploy capital, right? So like now is the opportunity for these new Solana-esque ecosystems that offer something new, right? I don't think, even though it's fast and cheap, like all of a sudden you deploy a new meme coin casino on that chain, it's gonna like, bring everyone's attention. I think you do have to offer something new.
Yeah, or you do that, but you got to solve some problems in that ecosystem, and
True.
And maybe you can attract some deployers.
Yeah, maybe you can offer a better version of a pump.fun or whatever, something.
Yeah,
with some more trusted guardrails.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
All right, another tweet from Andre. About a year later, he says Sonic is the only actual decentralized stage 3 L2, no fee extraction, all submits 100% to ETH, no centralized value extraction. So it's decentralized sequencing, decentralized bridges, while the rest of the L2s continue to pretend to decentralize. What would they want when they can get millions of fees per year? We already did it. So transaction per second is over 16,000, and he shows some analytics on Dune. So he's saying a lot here, and if we can have like a fast L2 chain, I mean, with his like unique perspective on things, I think it's pretty interesting, especially when the TVL is going up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty notable that I guess kind of like punching up towards like the centralization of sequencers and such, because I mean that's what Base is, right? Base is an L2 to Ethereum, and we called this, right, like way in the early days whenever we were first witnessing these L2s emerge. It's like, yeah, we're going to see a ton of them because there's a lot of money involved, and like being essentially these processing layers that have that finality to Ethereum. So we made that prediction like pretty early on, right, before Coinbase actually announced like they were going to get into the game. But they proved that they Base is a good ecosystem. Virtuals was like a home run hit.
Yep.
Right.
And they went to Solana, the fun chain.
Yeah, and really nothing is really manifested out of that.
That's true. Yeah, there hasn't been more successful agent launches on Solana.
I took a gander. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
So either timing is not right, or I think they should have just nurtured their nook on Base, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so looking at a tweet from Mark Jeffrey, an explorer of all things blockchain, he says, watching Andre Crojne talk new Sonic, some takeaways: Uniswap usage has generated $3 billion for ETH validators. Sonic applies efficiencies in database design and virtual machine design. And then ETH is MySpace, probably.
Yeah, you overlooked the most important line there. The new Sonic diverts 90% of fees to app owners, not validators.
Yeah, new Phantom Sonic thus diverts 90% of fees to app owners, not validators. So this is in contrast to what happens on Ethereum.
Yeah, so what does that ultimately mean? I mean, in theory, in practice, this would be a good mechanism that attracts developers, right? Similar, like, this is why we cover Pretensor so heavily, because we feel like it's designed to, emit tau to performant subnets. Makes a lot of sense. Like, you would assume that would attract the right ecosystem of actors to contribute towards an actual decentralized AI network, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all performance based now. Now you got the DTAU ecosystem validating and voting on which these subnets are doing the best job, right? So here's a chain that automates that distribution of value to app developers, right?
Yeah.
I think it
encourages more app development.
Yeah, which if you understand what gets these markets moving, it's the developers who bring in like new value. Spin up new creations, new platforms, new speculative arenas, new whatever.
Yeah,
right?
and the case here, they're incentivized to create new stuff.
Exactly.
And the better the new stuff is, the more people stake in what you're building.
Yeah, and then you have all the right necessary ingredients for like an actual like on-chain economy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is good sign. Like,
Yeah, so
I'm in favor of this approach.
Yeah, there's a link here. Andre Crojne being interviewed, and the link will be in the description. Shadow remains on track for repeating AERO performance, and Shadow is a DEX within the Sonic ecosystem. And it says some aspects using fungible X33 instead of NFT, and of course the overall Sonic ecosystem airdrop in June suggest it could outperform. So potential airdrop.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, whenever a new ecosystem deploys, now it's like, okay, what are the primitives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dexes are the most important.
Yeah. So we're looking at the Shadow website. There are the docs there.
Definitely go through the docs. It's pretty extensive.
Yeah, tokenomics, what is X33, guides, and yeah, security here.
Yeah, but so every DEX is going to have their own like unique features, right? But at the end of the day, which of these are leading in TVL and of course volume metrics? What is that? Is that the token?
This is the token Shadow. So over the last 3 days, let me zoom in here. In the last 3 days, it's been a 10x.
Yeah, that's pretty. So what would you like? What's your instincts tell you there?
Well, first is I need to look at the market cap, and it says market cap is around 18 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's done a 10x, and we know that DEXs have counterparts on different blockchains, right? And so let's see some comparisons, right? Aerodome, market cap 570 million.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, you got a decision to make here. It's like, in local time frames, you don't typically want to like do anything when a chart looks like the way it looks. Go back.
Yeah. You typically do not want to buy now, but you need to have context as to some comparisons.
Yeah, because even if you do buy now, right, there's a high probability this thing's gonna like candle down pretty soon, just because it's like it's up already so significantly. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, you're looking at this chart. Even if it goes down 50% from here, this is the real upside potential, right? In 1.5 billion, right at the top.
Yeah, 1.5 billion. So we're looking at the total here. Yeah, it's 1.5 billion.
This is Aerodome. So this is bases essentially like native DEX, right?
Yeah.
And go back to that flat line there in the beginning stages. Like, what are the market caps there?
We're going between 2 million and 15 million here.
Right. So, I mean,
yeah.
There you go, guys. We just gave you that's the picture. You do with that information what you will, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So primitives are going to be important. So if Andre actually wins out and attracts a lot of, market share, expect these DEXs to kind of, really snowball from here.
Yeah. And Shadow isn't the only DEX on Sonic. There's Equalizer, of course, Shadow, Swap, and Metropolis.
Yeah. So let's get into Metropolis if we can.
Yeah, so there's it kind of breaks down each one here. And Metropolis is a DLMM DEX, bringing back the degen APRs.
Yeah, so we looked into DLMM a little bit. It shares this property with Meteora, which right now Meteora is not in the most favorable of graces.
It's like one-sided liquidity provisioning, right?
Well, speaking of just the actual humans of Meteora.
Like I see, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't like discredit the mechanisms that are leveraged to like make the liquidity provisioning on Meteora a little bit more efficient.
Sure.
By design. As like because Meteora is under like heavy scrutiny because of Libra and such, like all of a sudden the technology is discredited, right?
No, for sure. No, you can use technology for good or for bad. It's who runs that technology, and leverages the technology for either side, right? So, all right. So we were just looking at Metropolis here. Here's a website, and definitely go through all this stuff. But I wanted to show you this. Metropolis is voting and bribing. It's kind of like a weird term there, but okay.
No, maybe not, dude. Maybe it's okay.
Keep an open mind.
I mean, we are in scam season, right?
Right.
Crypto, this is the scam cycle. So let's be explicit with like what we're doing here on chain, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
voting and bribing on Metropolis is live. So here's how it works. It goes into detail. So how bribing works. Bribes are incentives offered by protocols or liquidity pool owners to sway your vote in their favor. By participating in the bribing process, protocols can attract liquidity and increase their pool rewards. Bribers need to earn at least 20,000 Metro votes to trigger the creation of Metro Farm for their pool. If the benchmark of 20,000 Metro is not reached, no farm will be created, but voters will still earn the bribe. So this is sort of like a viability mechanism for your farming pool.
Yeah, for whatever, people who are deploying token pairs on this DEX, right? It's like a new added, they should have just kept that at incentive, or I don't know, bribes, whatever, fine. Let's call them bribes, but it's another attraction point for speculation, right? Degens. I don't think we've seen it play out yet because this thing literally like launched hours ago. But it's an interesting, like, novel approach, right? Is to attract people to, I guess, do a little bit more due diligence on what these, what these pools are all about and what it is they actually offer. And then it gives the pool creators an opportunity to add an additional component to, people participating in the ecosystem overall. Because now you got to lock up these Metro tokens. I think that issues you like an NFT, which gives you the ability to vote, essentially.
Right.
And that's the whole point, dude. So we'll see what kind of bribes come out of this.
Yeah. So projects bribes, people, and those people vote based on staking with the LPs, and those LPs end up generating rewards.
Yeah, in the native token, right?
The native token, correct.
So it's a nice little flywheel effect,
yeah,
if you want to call it that, just to get like all the ecosystem participants aligned. And I guess in theory, I don't know, maybe like this will attract, I don't know, maybe like NFT projects that maybe issue their own fungible tokens at launch, which I think from our perspective makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because now you can bribe, people at contributing liquidity for your fungible token counterpart with NFTs potentially.
Yeah.
Right? Like different art mints. Maybe you lock up your votes. Part of the bribe is like, okay, the longer you keep contributing to our LP pool, the more mints you can
you
kind
earn.
of generate.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems like a fucking good bribe to me, dude.
Okay, we're looking at Eggs Finance. It says Eggs Finance is a DeFi protocol on the Sonic blockchain that utilizes Sonic and Eggs token to create a stable and potentially increasing value mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so another product from the ecosystem here, and let's look at another one here. So Snake Finance. This is there's only two ways to get Snake: acquiring through a swapping mechanism called the Shadow, right? Or aping through these amazing APRs using Shadow, MCLB, and I guess this one, or Shudu. But let's take a look at what that looks like. So here are the APRs. We're looking at a yearly APR of 2,400, 3,100.
Yeah, we're back to silly season in DeFi, right?
Yeah. So this is what we saw in the early DeFi like mania days. It's like we were seeing more like 10,000% on these like yield farming mechanisms.
Yeah, and that's what that's what attracts degen participation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, degens aren't looking for snoozer returns.
No. Yeah, not like
graybeard APYs.
2.3%.
Yeah, it's not happening, right? To make DeFi interesting again, you're gonna have to continually iterate like new yield generation mechanisms, right? Which I think in theory could be like what the Sonic ecosystem might eventually, like at the end of the day, we'll all look back like that is what they contributed potentially, like a new reinterpretation of like yielding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a yield craze. Because I think people are kind of like fed up and bored with meme coins. It's just, very static.
Yeah.
Really not that interesting anymore, especially now that they don't like only go up like they have been.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing, right? So if the ecosystem of developers here who are attracted because of the design of the chain itself, you have an incentive to really unlock some new craze, right?
Yeah, and you did your own test recently, and the transaction swapped in seconds.
like less than a second. It was very fast. So
Yeah.
their advertising is true once you guys kind of bridge over. So here's a nice bridge that we use.
Yeah. So this bridge is called Rhino.fi.
Yeah. So we've already tested it. It's pretty fast. It's pretty reliable. Very easy interface. Literally just a few clicks and your assets are ported over
To Sonic. Yeah.
And then you can start interfacing with all these different protocols and tools we just introduced. So again, be very cautious, everybody. PSA.
Yeah.
This is all new stuff. I wouldn't trust any of this really with like anything of size yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like, when we first found the Bitcoin ecosystem emerging, it's like, don't just be smart,
Yeah, don't full port or ape.
Yeah.
Or
I get it. Everyone's like hurting bad right now, like looking for a recovery mechanism. That doesn't mean like port your last ounce of net worth into this stuff, right? Don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's worth like, keeping an eye on and playing with to see how it all evolves from here, right?
Yeah, I mean, Andre Crojne is not somebody you should fade. And that's why
true.
we're talking about him.
That is the X factor here, because like we said, there's like new chains, fucking new shit launching every day almost. But there is a Andre factor here that these other chains don't have.
That's right.
This guy has some sort of pull to him. He does magic.
Yeah, and what he does is he tests in production. And so sometimes those tests don't go all that well and it gets hacked.
He's been hacked. He's been hacked a few times maybe.
Yeah. But that's how it works. He says you can't really test a lot of this stuff in like a test net because it doesn't have the same environmental factors.
That's a good point. Yeah, so that's the X factor, right? It's the notability and the gravity of the force of the man himself, but then like the risks of like it could all just fucking explode. You don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? It's like that is like the volatility typically the market likes or expects, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of respect the guy for doing it because he's dealing with like potential billions of dollars in like TVL and like still, experimenting, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll keep tabs, guys. You guys let us know if you find anything interesting in the ecosystem because it's brand new. It's pretty early days. These are like minnows of market caps we're talking about here. So but yeah, we'll keep tabs along with this and like DAI and what's going on in Bitcoin space, all that, right?
Yeah, if you guys find anything you want us to look into, definitely comment below. And I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.